Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brandy Kanazi, and it is my honor to lead the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services. First and foremost, I want to thank Victor Dixon, President and CEO of the Safer Foundation, as well as Sadiqa Williams and Mark Yates from Safer Foundation for getting us this beautiful room. I also want to acknowledge our elected officials who are here with us today. We have Mayor Johnson, we have Alderwoman Coleman, Alderman Hall, Alderwoman Dow, Alderman Burnett, Alderwoman Scott, Alderman Moore, as well as Alderwoman Mitz. We also have State Senator Robert Peters, State Senator LaShawn Ford, Cook County Commissioner Deere, and Regional Administrator Diane Shelley. Thank you all. It's an honor to stand before you today to announce the opening of our city's 5th Community Reentry Support Center. This center, along with our selective pre-release and intensive navigation going forward, or Spring Forward as we call it, marks significant milestones in DFSS's commitment to connect Chicago residents and families to resources that build stability, support their well-being, and empower them to thrive. These initiatives demonstrate our unwavering support of the Mayor's vision for a better, stronger, safer Chicago, and helps us create a more welcoming community for residents returning from incarceration to Chicago's South and West Sides. The goal of our Community Reentry Support Centers is simple yet powerful: to serve as a pillar of support, offering aid, guidance, and timely resources to every resident seeking relief during what is more often than not a very difficult transition back to the city. We know that the first year of a person returning home from incarceration is the hardest as they seek to find housing and employment. Our goal is to provide relentless navigation support to address these barriers. Each year, about 12,000 people are released to Chicago from the Illinois Department of Correction. About 76% of those individuals come from IDOC and come to just 15 communities on the south and west sides, with North Lawndale receiving the highest population. Our communities have historically been under-resourced, which in turn creates environmental and systemic barriers to successful reentry. Without access to reentry navigation, job training and education, and other supportive services, many individuals face a higher chance of reoffending. The City of Chicago and Department of Family and Support Services has long recognized the significant obstacles returning residents face, which is why DFSS has traditionally prioritized returning residents in our workforce programs. This year, however, DFSS allocated over $12 million for reentry programs and services, doubling down on our commitment to build and effectively administer reentry services aimed at facilitating the successful integration of individuals back in society. Programs such as Spring Forward help eradicate barriers and provide innovative housing and employment solutions tied together that will provide immediate relief from individuals returning from incarceration. When DFSS launched the first 2 Community Reentry Support Centers in 2008, CRCSs were primarily call centers where individuals could seek support. We've come a long way since then. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, DFSS has significantly increased funding to these centers, expanding support available to each site to make sure they're more than just a call center, but a place for people to actually have human connection. At the heart of our services, DFSS, the Mayor's Office, along with our 350 nonprofit community partners, have an unwavering dedication to address the multifaceted needs of our residents. Similar to the educational programs we provide to youth and children and the response that we provide to seniors, we also provide reentry services for those returning from incarceration. With help and feedback from returning residents and those with lived experiences, we've been able to build these successful programs that will transform their lives. If you or someone you know is looking for reentry support, please visit our website at chicago.gov/reentry or call 312-798-3310 for job placement services. I'm immensely proud of our city's resilience and compassion, which have laid the foundation for our new investments. I want to thank the DFSS staff for their tireless and their wavering support to help us achieve this goal. Standing in the back, we have Frankie Amuo Shipman, we have Mark Sanders, Courtney Palomore, we have Trinity Dobby, Juan Cruz, Cindy Rivera, Rhonda Anderson, and Sarah Neismer, and so many more staff. Thank you for all that you do. I also want to thank our partners at the Safer Foundation, Cara Collective, and Lawndale Christian Legal Center for being great partners in this work. Together, let us embrace this new chapter and work to build, hand in hand, a better, stronger, more safer Chicago. And at this time, I'd like to bring up our great mayor of this wonderful city, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kanazi, and good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. There's been an acknowledgement of all the elected officials this afternoon, and I'm grateful to be joined by a collective group of leaders at every single level of government. The city, of course, the county level, our state elected officials. State Representative LaShawn Ford just got a promotion, so it's caused a tremendous turmoil on the west side of Chicago. But State Representative LaShawn Ford, and all that are here today, and of course our Congressman Danny K. Davis, who has been on the front line doing this work for some time. And I know Commissioner Stamps is making her way here as well. But again, I'm grateful that everyone has decided to make this your priority today, because it certainly is a priority of those of us who are standing here. We are taking a step towards a safer, a stronger Chicago as we open the newest Community Reentry Support Center, or CRSC, which will serve residents who return to our communities from incarceration. As a city, we cannot afford to turn a blind eye to the challenges faced by our returning residents. Their journey back to our communities is met with hurdles to housing, employment, education, and just the mere acceptance to society. The truth is, if we do not reach out to returning residents with our support, we are doomed to repeat the cycle of recidivism. These residents need employment, opportunities, and mental health services and housing, and a second chance to contribute to our communities. This is not only a personal victory for these individuals, but it's really a win for our entire city. Because supporting our returning residents, it's a strategic investment into community safety. When we reduce recidivism, we not only lower crime rates, but we create more inclusive and resilient communities that make us all safer. This new CRSC, called the Safer Foundation Welcome Center, will be operated by the Safer Foundation and supervised under DFSS. It joins a network of 5 total centers in the city of Chicago that are open to any justice-involved Chicago resident over the age of 18 with an arrest record or a conviction record. The services offered to these centers include employment assistance, education, mentoring, support groups, access to housing and food assistance, access to substance abuse, mental health services, strategies for presenting criminal backgrounds to employers, information on expunging criminal records, and of course, family reunification and child support assistance. The city of Chicago dedicated over $3.5 million each year to operating and supporting these 5 community reentry support centers, and they will be across our city. Our commitment is real, and it doesn't end there. In October of this year, DFSS kicked off the Spring Forward Reentry Program that will provide extensive supports for employment and housing navigation. This $9 million initiative marks the first City of Chicago reentry program with an all-encompassing approach, where participants work directly with employment services who specialize in obtaining jobs for returning residents, as well as we direct referrals with housing navigators who assist in locating homes and that are appropriate in size for families, with assistance for all the things that they need, particularly making sure that we're mediating between landlords and the tenants. The Spring Forward program is a joint effort between the City of Chicago, the Cara Collective, and the Lawndale Christian Legal Center, and we all remain grateful for the incredible partnership and support. We are confident that the Spring Forward approach that meets the residents where they are will have an incredible impact on all of these individuals who are tackling these barriers, and know that those who are returning to the city of Chicago, having been incarcerated, know that you're not tackling alone. You got a team with you. DFS continues to build partnerships to support our returning residents, and we do it with diligence, cultivating collaborations, and making sure that every single department is working hand in hand. We hope to establish a foundation for an evolving partnership dedicated to supporting returning residents throughout their journey from pre-release to post-release. And building partnerships and extending support to returning residents is just one more way that we will build a safer Chicago. The importance of this work cannot be overstated. Here in Chicago, we believe in the power of positive change. Thank you to Commissioner Kanazi and the entire team. I have two of my deputy mayors here, Gary Gatewood and Jen Johnson, and a whole host of families and friends who are dedicated to making sure that our returning residents have the full support of government. And thank you to our community organizations. You all have been doing this on the front lines for a long time. And know that we're gonna build programs that partner and lend our expertise to making sure that our communities are made whole. Unfortunately, for too long, this country has had an addiction on incarceration, spending more on incarceration than we do to educate a family. But aren't you glad there's a new day in the city of Chicago? God bless you. God bless the city. With that, my friend and colleague, the 24th Ward, Alderwoman Scott.
All right.
This is investment. This is revitalization. This is the resources that you bring to a community that has been impacted by disinvestment, disenfranchisement. This is what you call investing in your people. So I can't thank this administration enough for this welcoming program to allow reentry for our residents. Like Commissioner stated, most of the residents that are returning, most of them come to North Lawndale.
Right.
And so when you have communities that have that breakdown, you need resources. And these are the resources that will be impactful into a community that we're trying to revitalize, that we're trying to reclaim, that we're trying to grow. And so you need these type of impactful programs, and working with Lawndale Legal Center. It's a great thing to live in North Lawndale right now because we have the resources. We're getting the much needed respect and investment that we need to invest in our people. And so I want to say thank you, Commissioner Kanazi, Mayor Brandon Johnson, this administration, and the rest of the city council who voted to have this in our budget, to vote that we can have the reentry programs that allow our residents to come back and become vital and tangible product of their environment. Because not everyone goes to prison are just castaways, and we have to invest in our people. And I think that that's important. And so this is about investment. And so that's the word that I want to leave us with today, is investing in our community. Thank you. And I would like to introduce my colleague, Alderman Walter Burnett. Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor, sir. Vice Mayor.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the City of Chicago, the Safer Foundation, and the people on the West Side. First of all, I'd be remiss if I did not thank the mayor. One of the things that the mayor failed to mention was that we just dedicated another $5 million toward a reentry office, a permanent reentry office. And I say that because we did have a reentry office that was funded by ARP money, which is temporary money. Told the mayor and people from the administration that we need to have a permanent reentry office. When I mentioned it to the mayor said, that makes a lot of sense. And he got his people on it, and now we're gonna have 4 staff people, permanent staff people.
Yeah.
To work on reentry in the city of Chicago. I also want to commend Commissioner Kanazi. You know, I try not to say too much, but every once in a while when I see something is wrong, I have to say something. So I have to say, we need one on the west side, Commissioner. And when we interject that during the budget hearings, the commissioner jumped on it, and it made a lot of sense because the west side is getting the most returning residents in the city of Chicago than anywhere else. So I just want to thank the commissioner, thank everyone that's involved. I want to thank all of those organizations that was on the reentry task force. I'd like to thank all of those folks for giving their input. All of the holistic things that you see that's in this plan that they're offering to people now came from all of them. Came from all of those organizations that have been dealing with people for years, trying to help them along the way as they came home. You know, one of the things we say from the county, from the state, when people come home, they get $10 and an outfit and a bus ticket. You know, and then they let them off on the bus. And after that, what do they do if they don't have help? So I just want to say thank God for the city of Chicago for giving these people a leg up and giving them some help. Not only are they going to give them help with housing, not only are they going to try to get them help with jobs, but they're also going to try to give them some help with their spirits and some psychological help. Because some folks are traumatized from a lot of different things, right? And we need to get people back on track so they can be incorporated into society in a normal way. So I just want to say, and then also it's a culture shock when you've been gone for 20 years. And you come back and you see all these tall buildings in your neighborhood that didn't used to have tall buildings. So I just want to say thank you all. Thank you, and God bless everyone for being involved. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce to you another living testimony, Miss Evelyn Morris.
First, I want to thank God.
Amen.
I want to thank the mayor and the aldermen. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Evelyn Morris. I work as a laborer for the Department of Street Sanitation. I am happy to be here today. Years ago, I had some challenges in my life due to addiction, and unfortunately, challenges led me to the penitentiary for 3 years. As tough as it was to be incarcerated, I am grateful for this experience because it brought me to 16 years of sobriety. And I started working at Safety Foundation in 2011 on the weekends. In 2012, I became a working full-time safety supervisor. Even though it was seasonal, it was the beginning for me. I worked there for a total of 11 years until I was recommended to join the Department of Street Sanitation. I want to thank Safety Foundation first. I want to thank Mark Gates. I want to thank Victor Dixon. I want to thank Donald Gaywood, Derek Smith, for the skills and everything that I have with me to take with me along my journey. As well as I want to thank the city leadership, especially my Commissioner Cole Stoller and Deputy De Lopez, for giving me this opportunity. To sum it all up, organizations like Safety Foundation make a difference in the lives of returned residents. I am a living, breathing example. I look forward to seeing how the city can build on service for returning residents who need assistance with year-round full-time jobs and long-term addiction counseling so they can become productive citizens. Most important, we need to help at-risk youth before they become addicts and victims of the streets. Thank you for hearing my stories and ideas. At this time, I would like to introduce Victor Dixon, the President and CEO of Safer Foundation.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Evelyn. We're so proud of you and delighted to see that you've taken full advantage of the opportunities available at Safer. And I want to welcome you to Safer Foundation's Danny K. Davis Second Chance Center. That is the new name of this facility. So I want to thank you, Mayor Johnson. For many years, you've advocated for returning residents well before you became an elected official, even before then. And we haven't forgotten that. And I want to thank you and the City Council represented here today for reaffirming your commitment to reentry by increasing your support in the 2024 budget and expanding the Office of Reentry. So thank you so much. All of us reentry folks really appreciate you doing that. Thank you. And then I want to thank Commissioner Kanazi. She has been involved in supporting reentry, many organizations, as well as Safer, for a whole bunch of years, even before she became commissioner. And so we really appreciate your support. We're excited to launch this 5th Reentry Support Center, Welcome Center here, the largest number of individuals returning to Chicago from our state prisons come back to the west side of Chicago. And for those of you that are not deeply involved in reentry, according to the Department of Justice, there are more people with arrest and conviction records in Cook County than any county in the country. It is a huge issue here that many people are just not aware of how big the issue is. This center will play an important role in linking those people to a wide range of services they need to get their lives back on track, and helping returning residents reestablish themselves in the community holds great benefit for everyone in our community. It's not just for them. The key measure of the impact of reentry programs is reducing recidivism. And this means a person has not committed a new crime for which they've been arrested, convicted, or reincarcerated. Reentry work, that service makes our community safer for everyone in the community. It's not just for them. The pinnacle of reentry success is the individual securing family-sustaining employment, the ability to provide for themselves and their families through pro-social endeavors. And for that to happen, we must provide a comprehensive, holistic set of services. Returning residents are, you heard this earlier, exponentially more likely to be housing insecure or homeless, food insecure, have physical health issues, have a diagnosed substance use disorder or mental health disorder, to be unemployed, and frankly, just be poor. The city's investment in reentry services is one of the most efficient uses of public funds. By focusing investment on returning residents, you address a host of socioeconomic issues. Returning residents sit at the intersection of public safety and public health, and they're the perfect group of people to invest in. Safer Foundation, and therefore the City of Chicago, is at the forefront of this new comprehensive approach to reentry. Safer provides the traditional workforce development programs, training and employment, but our new strategic initiative added to those services Safer-owned residential buildings for transitional and permanent housing, a community-based substance treatment and mental health center, and a coordinated access to physical health care services. Our reentry navigators coordinate access to all of these services a returning resident needs for a real chance at a second chance in life. Back in the back of the room, there are posters that give you an idea of the wide range of services that Safer Foundation offers. If you have time after this press conference to take a tour, I'd love for you to do that. Here in this set of buildings, we house 330 people in our work release center coming back to Chicago from Illinois prisons. We have our RTP Construction Industry Training Program, and we have a mock house upstairs that we use for training. We have our Safer Counseling and Wellness Center is in this building. We have our Safer Foods, a partnership with the Greater Chicago Food Depository. There'll be people here this afternoon taking advantage of that. And then we have 49 new spaces of transitional housing for people that are being released from jail and prison. And they need immediate housing, and they can be housed right here in the building next door. So finally, I don't want you to miss the fact that on the building out here is a fantastic mural that was completed this summer to honor Congressman Danny K. Davis, who is the father of the Second Chance. And this building has been renamed. We'll have new signage. This will be Safer Foundation's Danny K. Davis Second Chance Center. So I want to thank I want to thank all of the elected officials here. Almost all of them were, have been working in this space and doing things for the reentry community for decades. I mean, and they have championed this cause a long, long time, and we really appreciate your support. So I want to thank you for coming to Safer, and I'd like to welcome again our Mayor, Brandon Johnson.
Thank you again for being here. I just want to acknowledge one more time, I know Commissioner Kanazi has acknowledged all of our elected officials here from our state legislature that are passing laws in Springfield to bring transformation. As you all know, the county government has been on the front lines of making sure that we are depopulating our county jail, and President Preckwinkle has been on the forefront doing that. And I really can't thank enough the Black Caucus of City Council. There's a lot to be said about the political moment that we're experiencing right now. But make no mistake about it, the Black Caucus has demonstrated the type of unity that the city of Chicago has been calling for, and today is an example of that. So with that, I'll answer any of your questions.
All right, so the mayor's only got about 8 minutes. We're gonna try to go quick. Try to get started.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon.
You only recently were able to clear migrants out of the police stations, but now it appears that the flow is back and migrants at police stations again. And there are now reports that the buses that could be subject to seizure or towing if they don't obey the rules are starting to leave people outside of Chicago and giving them train fare to get into the city. First off, what do you think about that tactic, and what can the city do?
Well, first of all, this international crisis that the entire world is dealing with, the type of chaos that's being administered at the border is what we're, working to solve. And from the very beginning, the buses coming from Texas have not centered people's humanity, and it's actually been quite raggedy. What I've attempted to do, because it's important in this moment, because the entire world is reeling for answers. The city of Chicago is providing some structure and parameters around this mission. That's what leaders do in this moment. And so we've stood up multiple shelters. We have thousands of children who are in our public schools right now. Most of them are in preschool or up to 3rd grade. And it's disheartening that the governor of Texas is literally invoking chaos without having like a real clear willingness to coordinate. And all we simply did, to your question around the ordinance, was to create better coordination. Now, Alderman Hall is here. There were others who went to the border to have conversations at the border, and having coordination is what is the minimum expectation. Now, if you remember, back in May, when I was sworn in, I believe there were almost 900 or so people living in these districts. And I said from the very beginning that this is not dignified. And so we've worked hard to eliminate people people from living on floors who are showing up in Chicago in some of the worst health conditions. And I did get reports that there are about 20 people, I believe, that are scattered throughout the city of Chicago and police districts, and we'll respond to it. But again, a month ago, there were 4,000. Look, Alderman Burnett has already expressed this. It wasn't a failure to acknowledge our victories. Sometimes we do so much, we don't keep track of the work that we're doing. We just do it. And no matter how contrite, that sometimes, people are in this moment, it doesn't, excuse the poor behavior that's coming from Texas. And so we're going to continue to provide structure and order and direction in this moment, because that's what the people of Chicago deserve, and that's what we're giving them.
Mayor, the shelter at Halsted and Cermak, a 5-year-old boy was there shortly before he died this weekend. There have been reports that their conditions are unsafe, unsanitary. Do you have confidence that that shelter is safe for people to live? I believe there's over 2,000 people there.
Well, again, let me just emphasize again, the conditions in which people are arriving in Chicago are quite disturbing. The people who are at the border sleeping outside in the cold, out in the rain, trekking through thousands of miles of jungles, being forced on buses without any clear direction of where they're going. And while children and women were living on floors in police districts, and my administration eliminated that practice, there were ambulatory runs, 911 calls, because again, people are showing up in very extreme circumstances, very, very unhealthy. And so what I'm confident is that all of our levels of government are coming together to provide support for these individuals who are seeking asylum. And we're going to continue to assess our work as we move forward. And of course, we're providing support for the family. And we are obviously deeply sorry and hurt by this loss. And it's not lost on any of us here that the conditions in which people are showing up in Chicago, they're worse. The last reporter just indicated, they're just dropping all people anywhere. Do you understand how raggedy and how evil that is? You're just gonna put people on a bus and just take them somewhere and drop them off in the middle of the night? And then you wanna hold us accountable for something that's happening down at the border? It's sickening. And so, but just know that our work is not done. But let's be very clear. You know where this is promulgating from, right? You do know that, right? That you have a governor in Texas that can care less about those families and literally dropping them off, not just in Chicago, but anywhere and everywhere, is wicked.
Mayor, can we ask about that? Volunteers at the migrant shelter, that staff denied requests for an ambulance to be called, denied medical help. Can you confirm those details? And is the administration and city investigating whether medical help was
We're
denied?
gathering information, as I've said before, at every single site throughout the city of Chicago. We provide on-site medical care. In fact, the county government has just put forth more dollars for more health care. But I want you to hear me good. They're showing up sick. Do you hear me? They're showing up sick. The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed, you have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country. The sensibility and the civility of our country, he is undermining that.
Preach.
Yes.
Mayor, given what's happened at the shelter this morning and what is, we've seen more ambulances show up there, is it time to reevaluate using these warehouses as places for shelter activities?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. Hold on, I got you. I just want to repeat back to me. I'm going to repeat to you what I believe you're asking me. You're asking me, based upon an out-of-control governor who is sending busloads of people all over the country, you're asking if Chicago should evaluate how it handles the migrant crisis?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we've had at least one death at this particular shelter. We've seen more ambulances show up at this particular shelter this morning. While we were there, we saw people coming out sick. Does the city need to reevaluate the practice of using the warehouses, which were never designed for human habitation, as a solution in the migrant crisis?
As I said before, they are showing up sick. Listen, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're drawing a conclusion based upon a site. What I'm simply saying is when they get here, hold on. Listen, I am saying that they're showing up sick. Are you hearing me? They're showing up sick. And so we're doing everything in our power to treat the conditions in which they're arriving in. As far as us reevaluating our mission, look, an international crisis of global population shift based upon policies that have been promulgated for the last 20 years that have caused not just the sanctions, but have caused displacement for the entire globe. I just want us to understand in the city of Chicago, we are not alone in this crisis. There are hundreds of thousands of people being displaced from the continent of Africa, from Central and South America. So this question about reevaluating, how about we do this? How about we reevaluate all of our international policies that are causing the chaos that we're experiencing right now, and let's evaluate the sanctity of someone in Texas who disregards people. That's what we should be reevaluating.
Mayor, I want to go back to the issue, the volunteers. They have said repeatedly that they've asked to get access to the sites to help provide medical care, and that they've been denied that repeatedly by the city. As Charlie pointed out, there have been a number of ambulance runs today after this 5-year-old child had died. It's led people to tell us that the medical care being provided at this site is inadequate. Can you respond to that criticism?
So there are volunteers that want to provide medical assistance?
That's right, and they're saying that they've repeatedly...
Are these, hold on a second, are these medically trained volunteers?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not aware of any medical volunteers that want to go into sites to provide medical care. I'm not aware of that.
They've been volunteering for months at the police districts.
So hold on, I just want to make sure I'm clear though.
Yes.
You're saying that there are medically trained volunteers
Yes.
who want to provide medical support inside of shelters.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that information from. What I can say is this, that the conditions in which people are arriving in, there is no secret that they have been showing up sick. That's not a secret. There's been ambulatory runs even at police districts. This is not new information. What we're clear about is that until we get a real handle on what is happening internationally, the city of Chicago, the city of Denver, the city of New York, and all these other cities in which this raggedy governor in Texas is shipping people across the world, and particularly throughout the country, until we get a handle on that, we're going to constantly be placed in a position where we're going to have to come up with innovative approaches to address this migrant crisis. And let me just be absolutely clear. Since taking office, we have stood up countless shelters. We have provided education, employment opportunities, medical care, trauma-related services, while at the same time making sure that returning residents, which is why we're here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't disrespect the people who have been working on the front line, fighting to bring dignity to black people, who have been harmed by the same policies that Buddy from Texas is trying to instigate. So we're going to do it all. Thank you all. God bless you.